please welcome your MC for the day, Carrie Aloussis from the IESO.
Good morning, everyone. Just give it a minute. Good morning. Go Raptors. You know, in my script, I have ad lib all over, and I don't really think I'm going to have a problem with that, so. All right. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us at the 2019 IESO Electricity Summit. I'm so thrilled to see so many of you here today. I'm not going to lie, as one of the event planners for this event today, I had nightmares last night that I was going to look out to a sea of empty seats as you would all be taking in the parade upstairs. So I'm so glad you chose us, and I will try not to be offended if I see some of you sneak away during the day to catch the parade, but just come back. So to start, I would like to acknowledge Toronto as a sacred gathering place for the many Indigenous peoples of Turtle Island. I wish to recognize the long history of the First Nations and Métis peoples in Ontario and show respect to the Mississaugas of New Credit, whose territory we are gathering on today. Our theme this year is the electricity marketplace of the future. Many, if not all of you, have experienced firsthand the changes that are taking place in the sector. This summit is designed to look beyond Ontario, to look beyond the next 4 years. We want to learn and get ideas and inspiration from other jurisdictions. Through our presenters and panelists, we want to learn and get great ideas and inspirations. Let's envision what the electricity marketplace of the future in Ontario could look like and what roles we can play in this evolving sector. We are joined today by energy thought leaders who will share their perspectives on topics ranging from the removal of barriers to energy storage to opportunities energy efficiency may bring as a flexible resource to compete alongside traditional generation. We'll also hear how advanced distributed energy markets operate globally and how electricity systems will be called on to adapt or to change traditional approaches to accommodate the expansion of these energy resources. You've all received a discussion guide. Looks like this, hopefully. This is your guide for the day. It showcases IESO's purpose, vision, and the principles that guide our behavior as an organization, including a message from our President and CEO, Peter Gregg. In it, you will also find reference to our engagement principles. This set of 7 principles ensures that we connect with stakeholders and communities to exchange thoughts and ideas with inclusiveness, neutrality, respect, and fairness. There's an agenda in the discussion guide as well as thought-provoking questions to continue the conversation throughout the day. In addition, you'll be able to find bios for each of our speakers in the back of the agenda. So some logistics. On your table, there is a card with the Wi-Fi details and the Slido information. In addition to listening to our speakers, we want you to actively participate in today's discussion. So we're going to be using the interactive platform called Slido. So I wanted to take a minute to get everyone familiar with that. So if you can, take out your mobile devices and connect to the Wi-Fi if you need to, and go to slido.com. And when you get there, enter in the code #IESO Summit. When you connect to Slido, our first question of the day should be loaded into the app. And what we would just like to know is who's in the audience, just get a sense for who's sitting around in the discussion today. So the results are popping up. You can see them on the screen and it's live. So while the results are loading up, and we'll take a look in a second, and just a couple more administrative items, we have 2 stationary mics in the room for questions today. We also have a photographer up front who will be taking pictures to use in future IESO products. If you don't want your picture to appear in any of these, please talk to someone at the registration desk and we'll make sure that that doesn't happen. In case of an emergency, there are exits, emergency exits surrounding us, just outside the ballroom. In the unlikely event that this happens, please exit through the doors and the Sheridan staff will be there to help you. And I realized at the beginning I didn't introduce myself. My name is Carrie Aloussis. I'm the Senior Manager of Customer, Stakeholder, and Community Engagement at the IESO, and I'm looking forward to being your Master of Ceremonies for the day. So let's see the results on our first active poll. So 100 of you are responding so far, and you can see about 40% energy-related businesses and services, 20% distributors, transmitters, Other, 11, 12. Who are you? Oh, right, we should put ourselves down there. Perfect. Okay, so that will run throughout the day, and you can check in on the results at your leisure. But now it's time to get started. So with that, I would like to introduce Peter Gregg, the President and the CEO of the IESO. Peter has been with the IESO for 2 years, and in that time, Peter has demonstrated his strong advocacy of stakeholders, frequently meeting with them to ensure their input is part of the IESO's decision-making process. In addition to the leadership that Peter provides to the IESO, he currently serves on the Council of Independent System Operators and Regional Transmission Organizations and sits on the Member Representatives Committee of the North American Electric Reliability Corporation. Peter is also chair of the Electrical Safety Authority. Peter, can you please join me on the stage to officially open the 2019 IESO Electricity Summit?
Thanks very much, Carrie. Sorry about that. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing on Raptors Day, or We the North Day, as they call it? Do you like our logo that we put up? Hopefully we don't get in trouble from the Raptors for that, but I think enough organizations are doing that that we'll get away with it. We've been having some fun with this. I've been a huge Raptors fan since they started, and so thrilled to see this, and so thrilled to give you the opportunity to be so close to the action for the summit here today. Little story. So Carrie mentioned I sit on the IRC board. That's the Association of the ISOs and RTOs across North America. And so when Golden State and the Raptors made it into the finals, I reached out to my counterpart in California and said, hey, how about a friendly wager? And I said, if Golden State wins, I'll wear a Steph Curry jersey for a day. And if the Raps win, he has to wear a Kawhi Leonard jersey for the day. So he confirmed to me that he will be doing that. I think it's today. And he said with all the requisite social media shaming to come along with it as well. So hopefully we'll see that. If we get some of those pictures, we'll put it up later today. Before I go any further, I am going to say a few words to kick off today, but I do want to recognize we've got two of our board members, at least two. I see two here. We've got Joe Oliver and Simon Chappelle sitting up here, who've joined us today. I'm not sure I see any other board members out there, but do want to welcome both Joe and Simon. Recently joined the board, and really glad to have them with us. So thank you very much. I saw Bruce Campbell when I walked in the door too, so that was nice to see Bruce coming back and staying in touch. So on with my remarks. As Carrie mentioned, we do have a great agenda lined up for you today. It's a good opportunity as well for me to hear from sector participants, not only to hear what we say, but for us to hear what you have to say and exchange some ideas. The theme of the summit is Electricity Marketplace of the Future, and in my remarks this morning, I want to bring you up to date on our market renewal efforts, which will be a key aspect of Ontario's future energy marketplace. But first, let me start with an overview of a piece of work that the Electricity Transformation Network of Ontario, this is the old Smart Grid Forum, that we rebranded and refocused. That group, ETNO as we call it, has just completed a new report around the emergence of distributed energy resources, or DERs, as you'll hear them referred to many times today. And I know I'm not alone when I think about the future. It's going to be a rise, a continuing rise of the proliferation of these types of resources across the sector. While currently they only make up 10% of electricity capacity, we do expect that will increase. And the transition of DERs is a topic of discussion for a lot of us in the electricity sector. Its impact so far has been relatively minor, and we've been able to manage the reliability of that within our existing system. But as more Ontarians actively engage and are managing their electricity use, the shift will require fundamental changes to how our electricity system functions. This is the focus of the ETNO report. ETNO is a group that I co-chair. It's not an IESO group. We're involved, but I co-chair it along with Dave McFadden, and it includes organizations from Ontario's utility sector, industry associations, public agencies, and universities who work together to help shape the future of Ontario's electricity system. I saw many of the members of ETNO in the room today, so perhaps you have a chance to chat with them at a break as well. A couple of weeks ago, the IESO, we released our grid operability assessment. We do that on a regular basis, and we identified existing DERs in Ontario as the single largest reliability risk that we need to plan for. The report also considers options for the future structure of Ontario's electricity system in an era of increasing DERs. As they increase, there will be implications for the reliability and affordability of our system. There are various configurations for our electricity system that might achieve this, many of which are being used, or parts of which are being used in other jurisdictions across North America. But one of the underlying issues is the question of who should own, operate, buy, and sell services related to distributed energy resources. The report highlights one area where there's a divergence of opinions, whether existing local distribution utilities should enhance their role and manage all facets of DERs, or whether there should be an open market model where there is competition to provide DER services. Those in favor of local utilities maintain that they offer security, they are regulated, and that there is comfort to be found in their existing infrastructure and knowledge. Those opposed argue that the increased competition that comes with an open market will spur innovation, drive down costs, and offer greater consumer choice. There are merits to both arguments. The point of the ETNO paper is not to take sides, not to pick winners and losers, but to lay out various options, understand their pros and cons, and the implications on system reliability and consumer affordability. And I believe this is a really important dialogue we as a sector need to have. I also want to talk about market renewal, so let me turn to an update on market renewal efforts. We've had extensive stakeholdering on market renewal with the Stakeholder Advisory Committee meeting we had in late April. It was a particularly insightful meeting for us. We heard from the Association of Major Power Consumers of Ontario, AMCO, on concerns they have around our single schedule pricing. And this was discussed at the Stakeholder Advisory Committee meeting. And since then, we've been working with representatives of AMCO to put forward a revised option around zonal pricing for large consumers that addresses AMCO's concerns, and we'll begin a public engagement on that option with a broader group of stakeholders in the coming weeks. We also heard from Rodan and other demand response participants. While they support a capacity auction, they have concerns that they want us to address, including the desire for energy payments and access to ancillary services markets for all auction participants. We've initiated an effort to address those concerns, along with other demand response participants' concerns about measurement and verification and audit processes. That work will begin at the Demand Response Working Group later this week. In addition to the comments we received at the SAC meeting, we've also received over 20 submissions on the high-level design being proposed for the incremental capacity auction. Turning to the planning outlook, we're planning on issuing our planning outlook in September this fall. It builds on the one we released last fall that indicated we have a capacity need beginning in 2020 and growing towards 2023 for a short number of years, with the upcoming retirement of Pickering A occurring during nuclear refurbishments. We're updating that forecast and we'll release a new outlook planned for September. This outlook helps define the capacity need that our future capacity auctions will need to address. But in the near term, we believe our capacity requirements can be addressed through existing resources such as demand response, imports, generators that are coming off contracts, uprates of existing facilities, and energy efficiency. Our future capacity auctions will focus on providing an opportunity for those resources to compete in Ontario's electricity market. And we don't see nuclear or new large hydro assets being acquired through our capacity auction. So our focus over the next 6 to 12 months will be on finalizing the energy stream detailed design of market renewal, addressing the concerns raised by the DR community, demand response community, and others that have surfaced through the engagement on the transitional capacity auction, and also focused on running the next two auctions in December of this year and June of next year and making eligible additional resources such as generators who are without a contract, and also including imports. And finally, we're going to take some time to work with stakeholders to address their comments and concerns on the incremental capacity auction and the business case for market renewal. As mentioned, we received over 20 submissions covering a wide range of issues, and we will take the time necessary to meet with these stakeholders and others to better understand their concerns. But there are other initiatives also beyond market renewal that we have on our plate. It is a particularly busy time. We'll be working with stakeholders on others to map out the next steps for our conservation in Ontario. As you likely know, we're managing a centrally delivered set of programs in our framework that runs until the end of 2020, but we recognize the need to start looking at what comes next. We're very interested in seeing if we can take a more competitive approach to energy efficiency, and I know the panel this afternoon will address this approach. And as many of you know, the IESO is developing a plan to fully enable storage to compete in our electricity markets. We shared a draft of this plan with the Energy Storage Advisory Committee last month. We received positive feedback on the work that we've initiated to date to enable storage, such as clarifying the interconnection process. We also clearly heard the storage community's calls for us to speed up our integration efforts. We've committed to spending the next few months looking at what the impacts would be of doing so. So as you can tell, there's a lot on our plates. There's lots for us to engage on in the coming months. And with that, I will close. I do want to thank you for coming. I think we've got a great agenda ahead of you today. And hopefully we can carry some of that Raptors excitement from across the street into the room to inform our dialogue. And I look forward to spending the day with you. Thank you very much.